Hello and welcome back to my 39th video on Jonathan's Tales. Life is very exciting when you're doing something you love. Some might call my writing work, but really writing is my passion and something I love to do, so definitely not work in its truest sense of the word. And I implore all my readers, find something that you like to do, and it will never, ever in your heart be framed as work. Okay, my published works on Jonathan's Tales, Volume 1, available through me for the next few months before releasing back on Amazon. Just text me. Volume 2, available on Amazon, and Volume 3, I still await with bated breath for its imminent release on Amazon. I say welcome back, but there may be newcomers. Today I'm delivering part 3 of reviewing the beautiful 8th story in Volume 2, entitled The Cactus and the Tree, and specifically we're focusing on notations 24 to 31 of the 61 notes enriching this epic and extremely entertaining story. In part 2 we ended on a review of note 23, but arising in my video narration were two sayings we must not let pass by. All sayings are grist to our linguistic mill and worthy of note in your journey to be an excellent English language conversationalist. By the by, or by the way, grist to our mill was a saying reviewed in my introduction video 4. The two sayings in the last video feature as the two initial points of business. Let's read out today's glorious idioms, phrases, sayings and proverbs. To lay something bare, to skirt over something, to talk of the devil, holding on for dear life, bee's knees, take something lying down, and true to form. Excuse me. So the first saying arising in the last video, to lay something bare, means to make something known, to bring something out of concealment, to expose something. Slide 5 provides other illustrations of the phrase to lay something bare. And slide 6 invites us to look at the saying to skirt over something, which is more commonly phrased as skirt the issue or skirting the issue or skirt around the issue. It is a figurative expression meaning to deliberately avoid discussing a difficult subject, problem, or answering a question directly, typically due to difficulty, embarrassment, or a desire to evade controversy. Slide 7 provides two other examples of this interesting phrase. I quite like this saying. The expression uses the literal meaning of the verb to skirt, to go around the edge or border of something, as a metaphor for avoiding the central point or core of a topic. Slide 8 now brings us to notation 24 in the book, a phrase I love, to talk of the devil. We, as usual in these videos, will first set the context by reading out the pertinent passage in the book, and in so doing pass by notation 25 to hold on to something for dear life, and notation 26, one's number is up. So the book's narrative. Shh, said Needles, talk of the devil, he's here. Heads up, heads up, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Both cacti looked down as the ground was trembling again. It's gonna happen soon! It's gonna happen tonight! I know it! I know it! My great-great-grandfather, many times back, he used to live in the sea. We're all going to live in the sea. Again the ground started shaking, this time heavily, heavily, heavily. Both cacti screamed, "Ah!" as the ground started to move, initially violently up and down, then swishing back and forth, finally swishing constantly one way, extremely fast. The old scorpion, having been buffeted back and forth and up and down, was in a dizzy frizzy. His head was spinning like a gyroscope gone mad. He knew without an anchor he could easily, well, in his imagination, spin off the earth. Leaping up in the air, he grabbed hold of one of the spines of needles with his pincers. He locked onto him for dear life, while silently thinking his number was up. However, soon we shall learn that was not the case. After 11 minutes and 55 seconds, they were all counting, you know, everything stopped. Well, what a beautiful passage I wrote there, if the reader will forgive me singing my own praises. The latter phrase, singing your own praises, was reviewed in the Orange and the Grapefruit video 3. So the book's end describes the phrase, talk of the devil, as said when a person appears just after being mentioned. Excuse me. Slide 9 furnishes the reader 2 further scenarios of the phrase talk of the devil. And I could not resist looking into the origins of this phrase with my innate curiosity on the history of language. The phrase talk of the devil originates from the longer expression speak of the devil and he shall appear. This saying has its roots in folklore and superstition, reflecting the belief that discussing the devil or an evil figure could somehow summon them. Historically, the phrase served as a warning against invoking malicious spirits or bad luck through conversation. Over time, it evolved into a light-hearted way to acknowledge the coincidental appearance of someone whose name had just been mentioned. The phrase has been widely adopted in English-speaking cultures and often carries a playful tone today. I love it. Slide 10 brings a review of the notation 25, holding on for dear life. Although the reader might accurately deduce its core meaning, I so love this phrase, I decided to include in review. The book describes this as holding something tightly or quickly because of fear or danger. P.S. I hope you as a reader are never in such a situation of holding on for dear life. In my own experience, some of the amusement rides at fairs definitely have had me holding on for dear life. Slide 11 offers further examples of the seemingly terror of holding on for dear life. The next 3 notes in the book we can pass by, but let us briefly look at them. Note 26, featured in our book read above, is the saying, one's number is up. A phrase we've already reviewed in the epic tale, The Parrot and the Woodpecker, video 10. The note beyond that is note 27, to take stock of something. This was reviewed in the Orange and the Grapefruit, video 9. And note 28, the word patch, which is a noun rather than a saying, again we might pass. So the note in line we might at last review is note 29, bee's knees, a delightful colloquial phrase. Introducing this note in the book's narrative, for context, we pass by note 27, and note 28 already mentioned, and also 3 new notes, note 30 to mark one's word, note 31 to take something lying down, and note 32 true to form. First, the narrative, which is rather enjoyably hilarious. Do excuse me. The narrative. I'm drowning, shouted Spike. Don't be silly, you're not drowning. We're not underwater, snapped Needles back. Well, that's what Scorpio said, we're all going under the sea. Needles sighed and looked around to take stock of what had happened. Being the most sensible of the two, he decided to reassure Spike by again refuting his wild drowning claims. No, Spike, no. But then immediately stopped as he sensed something was not quite right. He glared down at his extremity with no little annoyance. Scorpio, do you mind? Please kindly remove yourself from my spine. You could poison me. Whoops! Ha ha ha! Sorry about that. As Scorpio dropped to the ground, he said, Hey, look up everyone. We're not in the sea. But where are we? Huh? What's that next to you, Spike? There stood before them, towering over all three, casting a deep dark shadow, a huge oak tree. Oi! Shouted Spike. What are you doing around here? This is our patch. Us cacti live here, and we've been the bee's knees here, well, forever. Cacti's our name. Cacti, mark you. And we don't entertain unwelcome, and might I say, uninvited intruders like you barging in and taking over. The oak tree initially smiled at them. He was quite a confident, fun-loving tree, and of course much larger than the three below, so for fun he dropped an acorn on each of the cacti's heads. Ouch! Cried Spike, feigning a ridiculous outrage of pain suffered by the impact of the terribly small nut on his head. That wasn't very nice. Needles giggled, as he knew Spike never took anything lying down, and true to form, Spike, in great glee, shouted, Take aim! Spit! Fire! One of his spines shot out and dug deeply into the oak tree's trunk. Ouch! Boomed the oak tree, unlike the unfeigned explanation of the cactus, for he was in genuine pain. Looking down, he said with unbridled hurt, That wasn't very nice either. This is rather a beautiful phase of In This Delightful Story. This is rather a beautiful phase of In This Delightful Story. But to the review and note 29, the bee's knees is described at the book's end as a highly admired person or thing. Slide 13 gives us 2 more scenarios of the bee's knees, and you guessed it, I desperately needed to share its beautiful origins. The phrase is believed to have originated in the 1920s, primarily in the United States and the United Kingdom. It was part of a series of similar expressions that used animal parts to denote excellence or high quality, such as a delightful phase, the cat's pyjamas, or the cat's whiskers. Though the exact origin is unclear, it possibly stems from the idea that bees produce honey, which is often regarded as a perfect or superior food. The phrase was used in the jazz era, capturing a playfully light-hearted spirit, and has since become a charming way to describe something as excellent or outstanding. The novelty of the expression likely contributed to its longevity in colloquial English. I love it. Note 30, mark you, is a derivation of mark me or mark my words, which was dealt on review in the spiky shell and the star video 1, so we might pass this by. Note 31, to take something lying down, is explained in the book as to accept an insult, setback or rebuke without protest, but is usually spoken in the negative sense, as in this case Spike did not accept something lying down, that is, the oak tree dropping an acorn on his head. Slide 15 provides further illustrations of to take something lying down, or not. Slide 16 invites a review of the book's note 32, true to form, explained at the book's end as being or behaving as expected. And slide 17 offers further examples of the phrase true to form. Well, I could continue our journey together to turn to note 33 and a saying describing something getting out of hand in the book. But alas, it begins another chapter in the book's storyline and covers a number of other notes. I cannot encompass all those notes in this video, as it would render the video too long. It is better to review the next 4 idioms in the next chapter of the book, as piecemeal in the context of the book. So I will close for today on note 33, to be reviewed in part 4. Let us now reflect on our achievements today. We are in the process of reviewing the 61 idioms that enrich the lovely story The Cactus and the Tree in Jonathan's Tales Volume 2. 5 notations were covered in the book. Well, a few more, but these additions are going over old ground and were passed by in consequence. We're only halfway through the task of putting a spotlight on the 61 idioms, phrases, sayings and proverbs in this rather wonderful story. How very exciting our journey was though today. Incidentally, I've just reviewed the initial idioms we will broach in part 4. Some are to die for. I give 4 to not just whet your appetite alone, but mine too, as I love my English language. So the notes next in line are, firstly, to get one's penny's worth in. Secondly, this is dandy. Thirdly, jumping on the bandwagon. And lastly, knee-jerk reaction. So until part 4, we must part ways. And by then, maybe my 3rd volume of Jonathan's Tales will be released. But I check myself. But wait, I check myself. At this latter stage of the video, several sayings have arisen in my video narration. That is, going over old ground, putting a spotlight on, and to die for. We can deal with them in part 4 as initial business. And just a little past was a phrase I employed to whet one's appetite. This was reviewed in the Cactus and the Tree video 2. Now I'll take the opportunity to wish you all, as we approach in my Western culture, a beautiful celebration. Well, it's past now because I was delayed delivering this video. I think I can perhaps now say I wish everyone happiness, love and smiles for the new year 2026. I said this to a close friend recently, and I'm sure she blushed all over. Until part 4, bye bye for now, and a happy new year to everybody.